Do you have verticillium in your crops? Are you afraid of verticillium? Does verticillium keep you up at night? You might laugh, but for some people, it does. Let me tell you, in this field of beautiful peppermint for leaf, that side, untreated, 5 out of 5 verticillium risk. The other side, treated with the Rainbox Advanced Oxidation Process, 0, undetectable. Oh, not to mention the fact that we have a 3x rate of organic matter release, meaning your microbes' ability to release minerals to your crop, and a 2x higher ability for the soil microbes to fix carbon, soluble carbon, leading to increased organic matter. This is a game changer. If you have a crop and you have any concern of verticillium, stick around to find out how you can fix this in your crops. Hey, Denver Black from Soilcraft with Trent Graybill and Joe Mo Bailey.
Hi.
Good morning.
Morning.
I mean, afternoon.
Afternoon it is, I think. We're down here in the beautiful sunny Columbia Basin. They say wake up and smell the roses. Here we say wake up from your nap and smell the peppermint.
Yes.
We're in this beautiful peppermint field. This is peppermint used for leaf. This might be in your tea. If you have peppermint tea, you may have it in your cup right now. If you don't, maybe you want to go make a cup. Why are we here? We're here to talk about something very cool, and that something very cool is, we're always trying to treat fields. We're always trying to do nutrition, and why? Because we're growing food. This goes in your cup, right? You're going to drink this. We're going to eat food, and we don't want food as much as we can. We want it without chemicals as much as we can, et cetera, et cetera. But it's challenging to grow these crops. Naturally, mint doesn't just grow, it grows with other things. So we're trying to grow it all alone for logistical reasons, but that comes with pests and disease sometimes. Of course, at Soilcraft, we believe to feed the soil feeds the plant, and healthy plants resist pests and diseases. And we're in such a field where the diseases are being resisted. It's amazing. So this mint field, beautiful mint field, superb producer, but mint is mint. And mint is susceptible to verticillium, right, like many other crops, like potatoes, for instance. And so we've been doing a treated versus untreated on this field, irrigation water treatment using the Rainbox system to treat Columbia Basin irrigation ditch water, which in the whole scope of things isn't considered to be just so bad. But of course, the Rainbox does a number of different things. In this case, spoiler, the Rainbox is controlling verticillium. Rainbox, no verticillium. Without Rainbox, high risk verticillium. That's the takeaway. So what's going on? Tell me the story a little bit. What happened, guys? Because somebody was out here, I think, being a good field man. I don't know whether it was you or Mr. Steven or the combination thereof. Right. And you saw something, Joe, or maybe did you see something first, or something happened? You threw a drone in the air. Tell me about that.
Yeah, this field has been really kind of near and dear to my heart because it was one of the first fields I started. When I started with Soilcraft, I was a field man and I walked it a lot. I've gotten to see a lot of soil samples coming out of it. Saps have taken, and so I've got to kind of see this grow up, so to speak, and really get to see with my eye, just as I'm walking this field versus that field or the control that's not being treated with Rainbox. And I've also done, I have a drone, and so when you look at aerial photos, you can really see the significance of the treated field and the untreated. Well, the grower, who's been doing this a long time, he's an excellent farmer, was giving me kind of the brass tacks of growing mint, is that it's a perennial, and there's all these upstart costs that you have to have. And so about year 4, year 5, verticillium wilt starts to take a hold of the plant, and it really just can't outcompete it. The plant dies. It's a perennial, but so year after year after year, it gets a little bit less.
Thin, right?
It starts to thin. You start to see the disease, and you're like, well, we're going to have to disc it up, and we'll do something else because that verticillium wilt is so strong. And a lot of farmers are like that. They go, yeah, that's just part of what we deal with around here. Well, he told me, he's like, man, if I could get 1 more year, 2 more years, then I'm in the profitability. And that's really what we want, is profitability in agriculture and farming. And so when he told me, he's like, man, that's when I'm getting into the money, is that 5th, 6th year. And this field, I have no doubt he'll be doing that well into the 6th year. So I'm really curious to see, the outcome of that.
No, it's spot on. It is. It's an intensive crop to get established, and it's very frustrating because you can have a perfectly healthy crop, year 1, 2, 3, whatever, and once that verticillium starts to creep in, you start to see it more and more in the spring, and then pretty soon the stand gets thinner. You're dealing with weeds, and that's frustrating. But so after you guys saw this, you flew the drone, and you could see basically a night and day difference, and said, let's pull some samples, let's look at that. So you guys pulled some samples and took a look at a number of different things, both disease and other features. Trent, what kind of results?
Sure. So this grower took a leap of faith and decided to try a water treatment technology, which is called the Rainbox, almost 3 years ago. And so this was a trial. This pivot here is treated. That pivot there is untreated. They meet in the middle. And what we saw after flying the drone was drastic on this third crop. And so after looking at soil samples, we sent them off to a metagenomics lab, and their analysis confirmed what we saw in the field, which is verticillium, 0 verticillium. That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm at a loss for words. That's unheard of.
And compared to
what?
Compared to how much verticillium?
Well, basically, this over here, metagenomics analysis, which doesn't miss much. We're talking the DNA traces from microorganisms in the soil, and they can measure anything and everything. So they're going to pick up if there's a trace there. This field on a conglomerate of soil analysis tests 0 verticillium, 0 verticillium, 0 on the risk scale. This field, extremely high, 0 out of 5, it's a 5, loaded with verticillium, which is what we saw. That's just why we took the test, because it was like visually, what's going on? These fields are treated the same. There's a little bit of, elevation change. Essentially, they're the same elevation. There's a dip here where they meet, and you should see the footage in the video, but they're essentially treated the same. The difference is, this is almost 3 years in, 2.5 years in, treating the water with an advanced oxidation process versus not treating the water. And this is what we're seeing. So
which
maybe
confirms
Denver,
everything we talked about, right? I mean,
why does the water treatment system, why would we see less verticillium?
I mean, it's
none versus
it's huge, a number of things, right? I mean, we say that all the time. I mean, whether you have control of your water with irrigation or you pray for it or rain, I mean, water is the #1 input. I mean, we've been talking to dryland growers this last week in Kansas and Oklahoma, and what do they all say? Like, what did we learn this year? Well, we learned rain makes things grow.
That's for sure.
And but rain is not, surface water, and it's not subsurface water either. And so that's a big difference, but it's still our #1 input. And so water quality, it couldn't be more important. And what we really see in crops like this, I mean, mint, for instance, I worked with this producer for a number of years, and I can remember taking bi-monthly saps, saps every 2 weeks. And you could see, I could look at a sap analysis, and I could tell you what the temperatures were doing in it, because as soon as the temperatures got over 90 degrees, daytime temperatures, guess what came up? Sodium. I could see it just like that. Why? Well, this is a C3 photosystem. It's a cool season plant, which means it cools itself through photorespiration. It means it has to pull up water through its roots and evaporate it out through its leaves just to cool itself down. The problem with that is, anytime you have salts, any kind of sodium, particularly sodium, that's in the water, nitrogen as well, it's going to take that up through the leaves. And the more susceptible this plant is to wilt, the more it has to cool. And water, if your water infiltration is poor, then the more saturated the roots will become, and the greater the plant will wilt. Anyways, these problems exasperate themselves. And so where do we see disease most of the time? We see it in anaerobic soil conditions, saturated soils, high salts.
I'm glad you brought that up, because disclaimer here, we can't say this controls a fungal pathogen.
That's
Otherwise
right.
it would be
We're
called
not
a
saying
pesticide.
that.
This is not a pesticide.
Who said
so
that?
We're not controlling this, but we're making things healthy so that it's resistant to it. So disclaimer there.
We're changing the environment, but that's the beauty of it.
And that's what happens when you have salt. When you have high sodium, that disease likes that environment because that plant is stressed.
Yeah.
So
makes them susceptible That's the thing. The truth of it is, the environment is the most important thing. If we change the environment, then we change the outcome. And that's what we're seeing. We've changed the environment by helping to flush salts, increasing water infiltration, increasing oxygen. The Rainbox increases dissolved oxygen, which contributes to the roots. Also, it feeds the beneficial organisms that will outcompete the pathogenic organisms.
And that's what we're seeing. This test, the metagenomic analysis, is showing we have double the organic matter release of nitrogen in treated versus untreated. Our overall carbon score is, I believe, about 30% difference.
I think it was 50% higher.
Yeah, maybe it was 50%. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah, we'll have the results superimposed.
Yeah, our phosphorus utilization is higher in the treated versus the non-treated. There's a handful of things of different organisms, different nutrient release, carbon, organic matter release, nitrogen release, etc. that's anywhere from 30 to 50% difference, which is only due to treating the water. Well, otherwise the inputs are the same.
But to that, sometimes there is that catalyst, if you will, that makes everything work. And the truth is, the hard thing to judge here is, there's treated and untreated with the Rainbox, but both fields are being treated with our programs.
Yep.
And it's about systems. It's about a systems approach. So in my experience, what I've been seeing with the Rainbox is it doesn't matter where you go. Even if the producer is just as conventional as the day is long, we saw that in potatoes, where guys were doing just regular potatoes every 2 weeks at a minimum fungicides. We saw more fungal hyphal growth where we were using Rainbox where we were. So it encourages, why? There's more oxygen.
Yeah.
And wherever there's more oxygen, you're gonna have more organisms. But that's not the only thing we're doing. We're out here treating these fields with our proliferate, with our beneficial soil biology. But the thing that excites me is it just helps everything to work. So we're stacking the deck in our favor, and I really think that's a lot of what we're seeing here. We know that when we manage crops with systems, we have results. That's what we're doing. However, there's no question in my mind that it answers the question or it reaffirms what we've always said. Water is our number one input. And so it can either be our biggest helper or our biggest hindrance.
Right. And in this instance, it's not always something you're going to see immediately.
Yeah,
here, we're almost 3 years in, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what's the difference? Last year, the first year, what do we see? We're not really sure. We know what it does scientifically, but when it comes to visually, sometimes that's hard to measure. But here we are, a drastic difference. So you have to be patient. With some of these things.
And that's a really good point, because we don't end up with problems overnight. Oftentimes we hit the threshold overnight, and so then we freak out. Where'd this come from? But it's been building, it's been burgeoning for some time. And so it's a super good point, but we're excited about it because we know all the results. We have increased water infiltration, reduced soil compaction, or wherever we have infield monitors where we're measuring treated versus untreated Rainbox, every indicator is better, lower wilting points, higher wilting points, et cetera. So all of those things that tell us it's doing something great. This is now the proof in the pudding. Over time, all of those are indicators we're headed in the right direction. This is finally the fruit of it. So anyways, the takeaway is, it takes a systems approach. Water is our number one input, and water quality should always be considered. And if you want to know more about the Rainbox, please reach out. We'll get you more information. Let us know what crop you're growing, what issues you're dealing with. Please like and subscribe, and stick around for more content from us. Thanks very much.